10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning and welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us live on CKLU 96.7 FM on terrestrial radio. We're also streaming live at cklu.ca. You just click on the Radio Player Canada app and you can stream us. If you download it, you can take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. We're also streaming live at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow the channel and the page. And know that those two platforms will also be found on demand after the show, which you'll be able to continue to comment and continue the conversation going on Facebook. But also remember, we're on x.com/Sudbury News as well as Sudbury.news, which is our news aggregator. Click on the Sudbury News Talk tab. And mainly make sure to comment today on the live. We'll do our best to get your comments up on the screen. For those watching, read for those listening, we are getting off to a little bit of a late start. It's all my fault this morning. It had nothing to do with technology. But I did get the show prepared, and that's what gave me a little bit, took me a little bit of time this morning just to make sure I had the right deep dive videos to match the local stories. And so, wow, you actually have a show that has a theme with content that we can back things up and whatever, and it's got some congruency. We're connecting some dots. It's about healthcare. It's about privatized healthcare. It's about our socialized system that we have in Canada and the good, bad, and the ugly, and the people vying for one or the other, and what is better, what's not. We have some examples for all y'all. Going to be an exciting show, so stay tuned. Make sure to get your popcorn and your favorite morning beverage, and look forward to chatting with you this morning. It's going to be a great show. I promise your money back. So we'll dive in with a little bit of weather, and then we'll get into these news headlines and a really great deep dive today. We'll be back right after this. And your Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Currently, it's 9 degrees. It's partly cloudy out there. Today, we can expect it to become a mix of sun and cloud. This morning, 30% chance of showers. This afternoon, high of 23, UV index 7 or high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 30% chance of showers early this evening, low of 12. Saturday, cloudy, 30% chance of showers, changing to 70% chance of showers near noon, risk of a thunderstorm in the morning and afternoon, wind becoming 50 kilometers per hour, gusting, and high of 22. UV index will be 6 or high. With the humidex, it'll feel like 27 degrees, however. And then Sunday, 40% chance of showers, high of 29. I'm sure with the humidex, it'll be into the 30s. And then just in time for the next work week, we have a sunny day on Monday, high of 31, not including the humidex. 30% chance of showers on Tuesday and Wednesday, 26 degrees, 23 degrees, and then also 23 degrees and cloudy on Thursday. So a little bit of, sun reported for the next 6 days. Here's a look at your satellite as it stands right now. As of 4:30 a.m., a little bit of cloud activity over us and a little bit of sun. That's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Okay, welcome back. Thanks for being with us, everyone. And a few morning shout-outs this morning. We got your Northern Hillbilly, good morning to you. On YouTube, Judy, good morning. Hazel, good morning. Prayer emoji, much appreciated. Vin, good morning. Dave, good morning to you. sun or smiley emoji. Looks like, yeah, it's a smiley emoji or a sunshine emoji. Either way, it's appreciated. Charlie, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. And Marianne, good morning, everyone from Barrie, liked and shared as usual. Lorraine, good morning, everyone. Monique, good morning, Sudbury. Smiley emoji. Okay, Northern Hillbilly, thanks for that. You said comment even when you hurt feelings because the truth needs to come out. Now, on that note, yesterday, there's a few comments that I didn't put up on the screen that you had said that were rather, I don't know, we had a guest on. He's an actor in a local play. It's promoting theater, the arts in Sudbury, out of respect to the particular person. There's a certain line, I guess you can say, that there is when you're saying truth, like it's no problem. It's just say truth respectfully at the same time. I understand, and it was really neat that the fact that we were speaking with an actor who is playing Jesus Christ in Jesus Christ Superstar. And as a Christian myself, I believe everybody needs respect. You treat others the way you want to be treated. And so right there, so that's a really great way to begin a conversation, so I'm going to speak to someone else the way I want to be spoken to. And truth or not, you can speak truth and speak truth respectfully. So I just want to just put that out there for yourself and anyone else commenting, and especially to the others that are commenting on here. Even those who come on and don't agree with our points of view, it's really great to have respectful conversations. And if they're not having a respectful conversation with us, or they're saying something that's triggering us, even more the opportunity to exercise your respect gauge and respectfully comment back, because that's the one thing we can control, is how we speak to other people. And if we can't do that, how can we expect then society to do the things that we want to do to make it all the things we talk about on this show, to have the best society we possibly can? I think it's filled with people that are tolerant, people that can have an articulate, respectful discussion. Even argument means debate, right? Even to have a respectful argument, a respectful debate on topics, we need to be respectful. And so let's just keep all that in mind as we're speaking with guests and speaking with one another. And it's just great. Can you imagine we were so close-minded and so judgmental on other people that we didn't want any guests other than people who agreed with us on this show, or agreed with my point of view as the host, or you as a commenter? Then eventually who could we have conversations with? And if you want to influence people to your beliefs, the best way to do it is to open it up and invite and have conversations about it, not push away and judge and make accusations and things like that, right? So again, truth, there could be a truth, and it's fine. And we know that's what we're seeking on the show. That's our main thing, is to unpack things, understand things, get to the bottom of things. But at the same time, celebrate the fact that, we're all here on the same journey, trying to accomplish the same things, and that's to be happy. And just because someone doesn't believe in our point of view, be respectful. Now, another thing, this is a community show. Everyone's welcome. We have to promote things in the community as well. And so it's not the easiest kind of formula to have for a show, but we do our best. And I think we're doing a pretty good job considering. So again, those who are commenting, all I could do yesterday was not put certain comments up on the screen if I saw that it was a little bit, not under that kind of a guideline. So I just wanted to say that this morning before we get into stuff on the show this morning. So Denise, good morning, everyone. All have a wonderful day. Stay safe and healthy. Betty, good morning to you and Northern Hillbilly as well. And let's see here. Brian, good morning. Welcome aboard. Denise, blessings, everyone. Pat, good morning, everybody. Peace sign emoji. Charlie, honesty and transparency are different things. Yeah, you know what? I think so. They are. Honesty is when you come forward and just say anything that's honest. Transparency is policies and things that are in place so that way you can see things as they are. Or transparency, maybe in the eye of the beholder, the other person just sees what's going on, no matter if someone's telling the truth or not. I'm not sure if I did a great job explaining the difference between the two, but it's the best I can do on the fly this morning. Marianne, everyone sees things differently, simply as that, and that is so true. Lorraine, I was telling Rob at the station the other night that I love the way you present the show and how respectful to all views. Well, thank you very much, Lorraine. Much appreciated. And was watching Dr. John Campbell finding those, okay. Oh, the white veins in people again. So yeah, probably due to the jab, if you will, kind of thing I'm thinking you're getting to, right? And that's the topic we're going to be speaking on today is health, our healthcare system, some local stories about health that just came out the other day, and deep diving a bit into the country's healthcare system and looking at the good, bad, and the ugly on that note. So Sudbury Star, which I didn't get ready, that's shame on me, talking about this. So is Sudbury.com. First, we'll get to the Sudbury Star's story on these things, right? So privatization means longer waits, less access for surgery. A report came out, right? So this is from the unions did a survey, and they have their findings. They published their findings. We know which side of this debate the unions are on. They are very much for socialized healthcare, socialism in general, right? So privatization of surgical services in Ontario has not improved wait times, but instead has forced patients to wait longer, is what they're claiming, while negatively impacting access for all but the wealthiest residents, according to a new report from the Ontario Council of Hospital Unions and the Canadian Union of Public Employees. So we'll get back to that just before our deep dive. Now, locally, our hospital is saying it's having some challenges. Surprise, surprise, right? So here you go. Sudbury's hospital cites progress, but overcrowding and deficits are a challenge. So that's the headlines coming from the Sudbury Star. Japinder, good morning from India. Thanks for being on. Much appreciated. Okay. Notice 2 new flagpoles. This is Dave on. Were put up at the White House that Trump paid for, ? One in the north and one in the south. Sorry, I missed the topic for today. Yeah, basically healthcare. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, there are a lot of stories. I guess they had a report came out about our healthcare system. They had a press conference for HSN, and also, so while Health Sciences North is still struggling, this is still from the Sudbury Star, their newsletter, comes out every morning, 7 a.m. Health Sciences North is still struggling to house patients, balance its budget. The organization has made significant headway over the past year on staff recruitment and new diagnostic and treatment technologies, and as was particularly stressed at the annual general meeting. So they had their AGM meeting. This is where this news is coming out of on Wednesday. It continues to flourish as a teaching and research hub. So I said it was a press conference. It was their AGM. The training at HSN is an excellent preparation for rural and northern healthcare, said Dr. Kathy Curvin, a longtime family physician and former vice chair of academic at the Northern Ontario School of Medicine. The clinician teachers are among the best I've ever encountered, and the depth and breadth of the hands-on clinical experience at HSN prepares students and residents to a level of competence, and still that is almost impossible to attain in a larger urban center. Curvin is one of the several speakers invited to reflect on the educational role of the institution during the AGM. Now we'll flip on over to Sudbury.com and their stories of the day, which I thought was this, and I was right. So their headline is a little different. Hallway medicine will continue in Sudbury at least until 2038. Hallway medicine in Sudbury will continue until at least 2038. One of the most revealing parts of the Healthcare Sciences North annual general meeting, Wednesday, took place in the final minutes of the 2-hour event. As the meeting was coming to an end, hospital president and CEO David McNeil said that it would likely take 13 years before HSN sees an end to hallway medicine. This followed a question posed to the online meeting Wednesday afternoon by Nickel Belt MPP Franz Jelena, who was also NDP official opposition health critic, who is also the official opposition's health critic. And when do you think hallway healthcare will end at HSN was her question. Hallway healthcare, for those who don't know, is the term given to hospital overcrowding that is so intense that patients are placed wherever space can be found in the hospital to care for them. So a lot of times they're in the hallway, right? So storage rooms, hallways, etc. So McNeil, who is the CEO of Health Sciences North, thanked Jelena and said with the mapping out of growth projections and population aging in Northern Ontario, and if the capital expansion were approved today, it would take 13 years to meet all the hospital bed requirements. Now that's great news, right, for everybody? It's really great. So if you go back to the Sudbury Star headline here, it says, Sudbury's hospital cites progress, but overcrowding and deficits are a challenge. So again, it's kind of spin on words and whatever. It's going to take 13 years, even if they get all the funding and stuff that they're hoping for and everything going forward and whatever. And with the population growth, the aging population and everything, it's going to take 13 years to get it to where it should be in the first place. Like, we really shouldn't have to go to the hospital and not have a space for us to be cared for. Really? Really? With all the amount of money that we pay to our healthcare system through our taxes? If you really knew the amount of taxes you paid that goes to healthcare, your brain would melt. Absolutely melt. Okay, so then back to this survey that says that privatization is the boogeyman. It says through the unions who did this privatization survey, the president of OCHU CUPE and CUPE research officer presented their findings during the press conference. So these guys had a press conference in Sudbury on Thursday, where they also revealed the results of a Nanos poll that found that the vast majority of Ontarians want the provincial government to prioritize spending on the public hospitals instead of the private ones, for-profit clinics that have become more prevalent under the progressive Conservatives. One of the core values of being a Canadian is we have collectivized responsibility for healthcare, and we try to treat everyone the same, and wealth doesn't matter in those situations, Hurley said. But we're moving towards a situation where wealth does matter. Wealth will determine access to surgeons, and we say that's wrong. Now, Is that 100% correct? That it's only the wealthy that will get healthcare in a privatized system? We've heard that before. Many people will just hear that and move on, and that's it. You know, but is that true? So that's our deep dive for today. We want to dive into that particular discussion, privatized healthcare versus our socialized healthcare. You may learn a couple things. So we want to head on with this. There's a speech being given in the House of Commons. I believe it's a personalized experience here. I'm not sure why I can't go back to the beginning of this video, but because I can't, I now have to go back and find it again. So here, let's see if I can indeed find it. Yeah. I think this should be it. So let's see here. And it is.
I do believe that my grandfather has the answer to that question. He always he had to do 3 years of mandatory military service in Yugoslavia, and he always told me that he loved the army life. It didn't strike me until a couple years ago to sit down and ask him, if he loved the army so much, why did he go back to farming in the village? Because, Matthew, you cannot get promoted unless you join the party, that is the Communist Party. Well, then you were an ambitious man, grandfather. Why didn't you join the party? Because, Matthew, if you are in the party and they say this is black, he was pointing at his white tablecloth, then you have to say it is black, even though it is white. English is my grandfather's fifth language. I promise he has never read George Orwell's 1984. But this is exactly the 2 + 2 = 5 scene. I think about this scene a lot when I am told that men can get pregnant. When the truth becomes illegal, everything breaks. If you can't say what's wrong with the tractor, or the levy, or the hospital, or the passport office, you can never fix it, and it will stay broken. So not willing to give up on speaking the truth, my grandfather went back to the village. After a few years, though, the farms were all socialized, and eventually the starvation got so bad they had to make a break for it. Now, I have stories of our healthcare system and universities going back 13 years ago and going up all the way to last fall, when my bleeding postpartum wife spent 6 hours cradling a 2-day-old baby in the emergency room while not being seen by a physician. When I told the triage nurse I was going to take my wife to another hospital in the next town over, he said, "That would be great, thank you. There is no place for her here." If you go to one of our ERs and get treated like cattle, like my wife was at that time, you have no recourse. They would be really delighted if you took your business elsewhere.
And that's the difference between socialized healthcare and privatized healthcare. Privatized healthcare, their motive is to get as many clients, customers, patients as possible because that's the way they make their money. And don't say, oh, it's all about the money. They're making money. They're trying to get rich. No. In socialized healthcare, they're trying to make money too. When they swipe your health card, that's money. That's a debit card to them. So it's the same thing. However, they have no competition. They don't care if you're there or not. They get paid the same regardless of how many patients they get. There's no motivation. There's no accountability. And so the healthcare quality goes down. That's just the way that it is. Bottom line. So this is the kind of healthcare we have in Canada with our current system, right? Wait times long. You've experienced it yourself. You know what I'm talking about. And then there's no room for you when they can't actually get to you. Nowhere to put you. And then they have to discharge you early before you've actually healed because there's no room and they got to get the next people in. Is this what you're paying all your hard-earned dollars for? Is this what we're paying more than pretty much any other country, most countries in the world, for our healthcare system to have a healthcare system like this and this experience this MP was talking about in his first speech in the House of Commons?
When farming is socialized, you get bread lines, and people died of starvation while standing in Soviet bread lines. When healthcare is socialized, you get lines in the ER, and I promise you people have died and are dying in waiting rooms, in emergency rooms across this country right now. You might think that I'm being overwrought and seeing the ghost of communism where it does not exist. However, I would note that we just spent 10 years with a prime minister who, when asked which government in the world he most admired, stated the basic dictatorship of the Communist Chinese Party. A prime minister who released a statement lionizing brutal communist dictator Fidel Castro when he died. A prime minister whose answer to every social problem, dental care, child care, pharmacare, school lunch, climate change, what have you, was always more socialism, more central planning, more top-down pronouncements, less freedom to make choices for yourself and your family. The zenith of all this top-down control came during the pandemic. The members opposite went full communism. They locked Canadians down in their homes. They ruined weddings, funerals, Easters, proms, and Christmases. They closed the borders. They kept mothers from children and brothers from sisters. They deprived this House of its ancient rights. They spent $600 billion of taxpayer money with no budget, doubled our national debt to pay healthy 16-year-olds to sit in their basement. Then, as now, they did all this in the name of crisis management. Physicians, professors, and journalists who spoke out against these abuses were hunted down. They had their licenses and their jobs threatened. I know this because it happened to me. At Queen's University, where I taught, Jane Philpott herself, one of the only two cabinet ministers to speak truth to Justin Trudeau's power, informed me in her dean's office that the reason the administration had to harass me was that I criticized the government. That is a direct quote. Of course, the Prime Minister and his commissars were immune from all of this. He could attend gatherings of greater than 5 if it suited his political purposes, like a George Floyd protest in Ottawa, and he did. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals claimed onto themselves the power to censor the news, to violate free speech in the name of fighting misinformation, while they themselves promoted misinformation. They gave luxurious contracts to their friends in academia to promote their misinformation. They gave hundreds of millions of dollars to mainstream media to promote government narratives. These three institutions, government, media, and the academy, have important roles in society to regulate each other. But under the federal government's bribery scheme, they have ended up, like the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, out to sea, stewing in each other's bathwater. When ordinary, everyday Canadians came here to Ottawa complaining that their charter rights to bodily autonomy, assembly, and free movement were being violated, every member of the Liberal caucus voted to trample their rights further. They violated Section 2 and Section 8 of the Charter in imposing the Emergencies Measures Act. It is not me saying that, but Justice Mosley of the Federal Court. They trampled on the charter rights they claimed to revere, and then they laughed about it. The current Minister of Transport, in particular, laughed about it, Mr. Speaker. If we cannot speak truth to their power, everything will continue to break. And that is why I had to come here, Mr. Speaker. I refuse to be a cog in their broken machine. I hope it is the case that this darkness left with the former Prime Minister, and I beseech the new Prime Minister to turn to the light, to defend those values enshrined in our anthem, truth, strength, and freedom. But I read his book, Mr. Speaker. The book was called Values, and freedom, I'm sorry to say, is not among those therein discussed. The repackaging of their socialist plans in bankers' socks might fool some of the people some of the time, but I will tell you who it is not fooling. It is not fooling the multicultural communities in Kitchener-South Hespeler, the Romanians, Albanians, Polish, Ukrainians, Serbians, Croatians, Lithuanians, Venezuelans, Chinese, Somalis, and Ethiopians with lived experience of socialism who know what they are seeing and don't like it and sent me here. They came here for freedom, not just any freedom, but our specific embodied Canadian freedoms. These freedoms are ours, but they are not merely ours, and they are certainly not ours to discard. They were fought for at Runnymede and encoded in the Magna Carta. They were fought for in the English Civil Wars, the Glorious Revolution, and enshrined in the Declaration of Right. They were fought for in the World Wars and enacted in Diefenbaker's Bill of Rights. They were fought for by both my grandfathers, by all of our grandparents, and embodied in all of us here. So the answer to the question of why I came here, I'm here to speak truth to power on behalf of the people of Kitchener-South Hespeler. I will be happy to go back to being a physician and professor once I can practice in truth and freedom again, once we can all live in truth and freedom again. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and may God keep our land glorious and free.
So again, spoken from by a physician about the healthcare system and about where things are heading, and even from the beginning, our socialized healthcare system is not in a good place. It's not something that, other countries. I hear a lot of people in the United States talking about, Canada, it's the greatest, you hear, what's his nose there? He was almost the leader of the Democratic Party for a while. But they're always talking about Canada being the best thing since sliced bread, our healthcare system. It's not what I experience when I go to the ER. I don't experience the best healthcare system that I can imagine. The thing that goes through my head when I'm there is I feel like I'm cattle, basically. I just feel like I'm a number. That's the way I feel. That's just my personal feeling. And in a waiting room, you look around where there's literally hundreds of people just waiting to get in. And the people that are there to serve you are burnt out. They're overworked, probably underpaid. And it's not their faults. It's the system, right? It's the system that they're part of that makes it this way. It's not their fault. But at the same time, it is the way the healthcare system is set up. So they can't really work within it. And to give an example, give an example, and just to reiterate, to have respect as we're commenting on the show, have respectful conversations. Use your intellect, not name calling. So if you have a point you want to make, be able to articulately say it without demeaning somebody or putting someone down. It's the very nature of the show is to have a conversation. And if we're kind of not brushed up on our skills of communication, it's a chance to do so. It's a chance to learn how to say your point of view respectfully and let it stand. If it is truth, let it stand alone. Don't let your emotions get in the way and be hurtful to other people because they don't seem to 100% agree, or you want to make a point louder than somebody else's. Like, you have to ask yourself, where is that need coming? Where is your need to communicate coming from? Is it to communicate to help uplift someone and help others learn? Or is it coming to hurt somebody or put them down to raise your point of view to a certain level, right? So it's just got to come up to a bar if you're communicating on the show. So it's one of the few standards we have for our free speech on the show is that you don't harm other people with your truth, with your opinions, because that's all they are. That's all we have is opinions. And so you put your opinion out there. Okay, that's your opinion. But then you don't attack other people because of their opinions, right? So if someone questions you, say, oh, is that true? Where'd you get that? Why do you say that? Well, then you articulately say, oh, here's the source of where I got that information from. This is what I think, and this is why. But again, hard to keep emotions out of conversation. It's a really great exercise, though. The more you can do it. It's one of the reasons why I have a hard time watching a particular gentleman, which I really like the content they have, and that's InfoWars, Alex Jones. So I'm watching and I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that, or whatever. He shares a news story, and then he goes into he turns into a wrestler or something. And his voice gets louder and he's pounding the table and he's, so it's like, okay, well, all right. I hear what you're saying, but you're coming across like you're going to hit the camera or something. All right. I get it. You're emotional about it. I am too. But if you're communicating with other people, the best way to do it is respectfully, and they'll listen then. They'll listen more than if you're being condescending and you're putting them down and you're like, what is your intent? Is your intent to help someone see your point of view? Well, it's going to be, counterintuitive if you're making them, belittling them or saying disrespectful things to them. They're not really going to want to hear what you have to say. Right? So again, it's just something that we're trying to attain on the show. So keep your comments as respectful as you possibly can, and we really appreciate it. Okay, so speaking of counterintuitive. So we're talking about the dangers of socialized healthcare, socialism, the fact that we could be turning into a communist country in so many ways. Everything points to that. Well, now we're going to use an example, which is counterintuitive, of a couple that are from Canada with our socialized healthcare system. Now, China doesn't have the same kind of system we have. They have more of a privatized model of healthcare, even in a communist world. So here's a couple from Canada who had a 6-month wait to get an MRI. You might have already seen this previously. But this is Mario from the North sharing their example of they go to China and just kind of say, hey, maybe we can get an MRI here because it looks like the person's wife is of Chinese descent. And so they're in China on a vacation or whatever. And so now they're going to see if they can get an MRI there. So we'll see the difference between the two healthcare systems.
My husband has been waiting over 6 months for an MRI appointment in Canada. But while we're in China, we thought, why not try the local hospital? So we walked in the general hospital with no appointment, scanned his passport, and boom, got a hospital card in seconds. We saw a doctor, got referred for an MRI and a CT scan, all in the same day. 4 hours later, we even printed the MRI film ourselves from a vending machine. And the doctor checked both scans on the same afternoon. And here's the wild part. The total cost, around 1,000 RMB. 5.5 for the consultation, 530 for the MRI, 460 for the CT.
I have no words. And see, here's the problem. Canadians think as soon as they hear the word privatized healthcare, that we're trying to just take down the whole system and impoverish people and people can go bankrupt. No. Just look at the model in Switzerland. Switzerland has a mixed use. They have a publicly funded system and they have a privatized system. When it's privatized, what that does is those who are willing and able to pay for healthcare and getting that healthcare access from private clinics, whether it's through some sort of maybe insurance that covers it or by themselves, it frees up the public system. It doesn't hurt anyone in the public system. In fact, it helps. But as soon as people hear privatized healthcare, they think, oh no, the world's falling down. The two can coexist. The fact that this is happening in China and not here is making me think that maybe things are reversed and we are now the third world country.
All right. Right. So he makes a good case about the difference between socialized or privatized healthcare and how they can coexist in a system like Switzerland. So for those that are hearing that for the first time on the show can go, oh, what is the system in Switzerland? And now you can let your fingers do the walking on your keyboard and healthcare system in Switzerland. What does that actually mean? And why can somebody walk into a hospital in China and get an MRI the same day and get another test and only cost them $100? How many people who are waiting for MRIs right now? Well, the thing is, it feels like you won the lottery even if you can get an MRI in Sudbury. The fact, my wife needs an MRI, but she can't convince her nurse practitioner enough that she needs one. So the nurse practitioner keeps sending her for every single test other than an MRI, which is going to end up at an MRI eventually because they're not going to find out what's wrong with all these other tests. And all these other tests cost money, right? So they're not free. So it's a socialized healthcare system. The doctor is the gatekeeper, or the medical expert is the gatekeeper. And you have to bow to the knee to them, and whatever they say you can do, you can do. You can't just go and get something done. Like, why can't I just go down and say, I want an MRI? Oh, okay. You got $100? I got $100. Well, here you go. You can have an MRI and get your results the same day. Like, why? So just, why can't I do that? Why can't you do that? It's an MRI machine. You lay down in the thing. It goes clickety, clickety, clickety. It takes a really great image of your whole body so you can see things and preempt things. Maybe there's things that are starting in your body that you can get before you start having symptoms of it, and then it's too late to solve it. You just go down. You know what? I haven't had an MRI yet this year. I'm going to go get one. See if maybe my body's starting to do some stuff that I got to take care of, Put 100, debit, bing. You go in, you lay down in the MRI. You got an MRI. You get the results right away like they did in China. People can say, oh, that's impossible. Can't get the results right away. Well, they did. So they made it happen. It's possible. Why can't we do that here? So again, why is it the way that it is? So HSN just had their AGM. I bet you that question wasn't posed. I bet you they didn't watch this video while they were eating their dessert, and have this discussion of why can't we accomplish this in our healthcare system? You wouldn't even need all those beds and whatever if you had a little bit more efficient healthcare system. It's wrong from the top down. Everything's wrong about it. It's backwards. I'm in the waiting room, and I've shared this on the show before. My wife's deathly ill. Around other deathly ill people, she's probably going to catch something else, going to put her over the edge. And I look over and I see the vending machine with chocolate bars and chips and Coke machine with the worst possible thing you can drink in there for your health in the waiting room of a hospital. Like, really? Just that alone. Just that one thing alone. It's like health. Health Sciences North. You know, it's like health. Okay. What's your idea of health here? Anyways, this doesn't seem very healthy to sit in a room full of people that are just throwing up in garbage bins and got anything under the sun, you know, addicts that are passed out at my feet. You know, God bless them. They're going through tough times. Everyone's in a hard time. We're all in this room together, all going to get sick from each other's things while you look over and there's a vending machine with the most fattening, sugary things you could see that are probably, if you kept eating it, cause you diabetes, you know. And you're like a cattle, take a number. They'll see you in 15 hours. You get to the back, there's no room for you. Wait in the triage for 15 hours. You might get a hallway bed if you're lucky. Whatever. You might get a test that you'll get the results in a week for. You know, like what's up with that? Is that what we're saying is the best healthcare system in the world? That all the countries are envious of our healthcare system? And there's people that work in it, and some people take offense. I remember going on a similar rant before, and there was a nurse who doesn't ever come on the show, but went on and commented and a lot of F words and, you know, curse words to me and whatever. It's like, okay, well, I guess you work there, and we appreciate your work, and you're in a system, you're doing the best you can. It's not you that we're, you know, frustrated with. It's the system. You're working within a system. So what's the difference between our system and the one where this couple went to China and they were able to get an MRI and a CT scan and all the results back within one day, and it cost them $100 Canadian to get all that? How come it's able to be done there and not able to be done here? And now they aren't even from China, let's say, right? So that's the cost of it. If you're an American or someone else from another country and you're not a Canadian citizen and you go to the hospital for anything, it doesn't just cost you $100. $100 for the first second you walk in there, maybe. I have a friend who's from the States who just had to be in the hospital, had an operation. $26,000. 3 days, 4 days worth of hospital stay, $26,000. Far cry from $100. That's our healthcare system, and that's how much it actually costs. So if it costs her that, and she doesn't have, you know, she's not a Canadian citizen, so she's not entitled to have our socialized healthcare. That's what it's costing us too. It's paid for through what? Your taxes. So you're in the hospital 4 days, $26,000. See, it's not transparent. We don't see that because it's socialized. It's all behind closed doors, and you know, you just have a health card and you swipe it. So you don't see the costs. So if you saw the out of control costs of everything and no accountability and all these things, you would be outraged. So, okay, QP does a survey and they have most people are like, no, you got to put more money into socialized healthcare, not into privatized healthcare. That's because they're being sold socialized healthcare all the time. They really don't know what privatized healthcare system is. There's no PR for privatized healthcare in Canada. There's no commercials on TV educating people saying, hey, let's look at the Switzerland model. Have you heard that in your life? Ever? Did the news come out and say, you know what, Switzerland has an interesting model. Let's look at that. Why do we have all the problems we have in our healthcare in Canada? Right? So if people were more informed, they might not be answering that survey in that way. 100%. Yeah, so it's all the time we got for today. And again, just a reminder for everybody to treat others the way they want to be treated on the show. And it's a good thing to keep in mind in your life as well, not just for the show. But your comments, just say, is that something that, you know, I wouldn't mind if someone commented to me, you know, is that the way I want to be treated? And then treat others the way you want to be treated. It's a pretty simple standard to have, I think. I didn't come up with it myself. I wish I did. I wish I could take credit for it, but I didn't. Treat others the way you want to be treated. It's a great mantra. I think it helps in any situation, anytime. Okay, thanks guys for being on. Much appreciated. Miss all y'all who are not on the show today. Hope to see you on Monday. Remember to stay aware, like, share, take care. We'll see you same time on the same platforms on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe and happy. And yeah, so stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. And we'll see you Monday. Ciao for now.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.